Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Warm welcome to everyone this afternoon. Adora Ekwemesi here, founder of Kendall Consulting. It's a pleasure to be with you again today for this month's session, or this month's webinar session, our Stay Trendy Webinar series. Warm welcome to everyone. I believe we're still letting people in. It's 2 o'clock. Today is very, very interesting topic, one that I'm eager to learn from and learn about. Today we'll be talking about conscious quitting and the employee experience. And we have someone who is definitely going to help us with shedding some light in that area. I just want to be sure that everyone can hear me before I hand over to our speaker for today. Let me see the chats. Where is everyone coming from this afternoon? Well, it's afternoon, depending on where you are. If you are in Lagos, it's afternoon. If you're in the UK, it's afternoon. If you're in Europe, it's afternoon. If you're somewhere else, maybe the States, then it might be morning, right? So I'm trying to check the chat. Where is everyone? Can you hear me? Just make sure everyone can hear me. Can everyone hear me? Let me look. The chat is disabled. Please, can we enable the chat? And yes, please feel free to use the question and answer for questions that we'll be taking at the end of the session. And, but feel free to interact in the chat. So I'm going to go back to the chat. Thank you for telling us that, Rem. This is the first. Is a bit unstable, but very quickly, we will, so this is, I don't know where everyone heard me, but I got disconnected for a bit. So every month we pick a topic that is trending in the HR space or people management field, and we have guest speakers, or we have a panel session, or we have people. Someone says they can't hear. Oh, you can hear me. Oh, fine. Fantastic. And today's topic is on conscious quitting, the employee experience, conscious quitting. I'm not going to say too much about it. I'm going to allow our guest speaker tell us, about conscious quitting. There's so many buzz and trends that have come up in recent years. And I'll keep looking at the chat. People are telling us where they're signing in from, and hopefully we'll have a very enlightening session today, like always. So I know Emmanuel Faith is here. Emmanuel Faith, you're here. So I'm going to be handing over to you in a very short while. Let me just be sure that you have the host rights as well. And I can see you. I can see your face though. Let me see. Right. So Emmanuel Faith, can we see your video? Because I can't see your video on.
Oh, I think I can't start video because the host has stopped it.
Okay, right. So, okay, I'm a co-host. So please, can we give Emmanuel hosting rights so that he can put on his video and we can. Emmanuel, how are you doing? Definitely. So do we have you on? Have we given? Yes, his host. So let's see your face, Emmanuel. Thank you.
Am I visible?
You're invisible.
Okay, exciting. Hi everyone, I'm so delighted to be here.
You're very, very visible. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for joining us on this topic. It's not just, I know it says conscious quitting, but I think one of the things that we can say, especially since the pandemic, is quitting is a mode for a good number of employees in the workplace. So if you can just help us not just understand even conscious quitting, but even just what's going on with quitting, right? Generally, and just help us learn about conscious quitting and any other forms of quitting and what we can do with respect to the employee experience. So I'm going to hand over to you. Over to you, Emmanuel, do your thing, and we'll ask questions at the end. Thank you.
Oh, okay, exciting. I am just going to share my screen now, if I'm able to do that. So, okay, yeah, so hi everyone. This is my face. I'm going to try to stay off video because I think I would like to see my screen, but just let me know in the chat box at any point in time if you can't see me anymore. I'm super delighted to have everyone here. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, awesome. So can everyone see my screen? Oh, awesome. It looks like we can. Exciting. Okay, so let me just do this. Yeah, so my name is Emmanuel Faith. Interestingly, my name is Faith. My first name is Faith, but Emmanuel Faith stuck since when I was in uni, and that's how the name stuck. And for some reason, I prefer Emmanuel Faith to Faith Emmanuel because it's more melodious. Yeah. I'm super delighted to be here, and this class is going to be as interactive as possible. Now, I know almost every facilitator say that, but I mean it. It's going to be interactive. It means that I'll be asking questions and all because, I mean, we're all professionals or team leads or managers, and I just feel like it's exciting when we all, learn from each other. So give me a second. Let me adjust my laptop stand. Okay. Yeah, so let's go, right? Okay, so I'd put this interesting, tagline to say administering prevention before cure, because Adele was trying to speak to quiet quitting when she was introducing me. And when I was researching to prepare for this, I realized that actually there's a lot of quiet quitting, more than conscious quitting. And I think that before conscious quitting actually happens, there has been months of quiet quitting that nobody noticed, and we will just touch on that as I go. Okay, so let's go. Yeah, so the objectives of this session is simple, especially because I have a really short time. The first is to let us know that we cannot avoid conscious quitting as long as you're an HR, as long as you're a people manager, you can't avoid it because it's really dependent on internal and external factors. I would ask the question as we go along, but I just wanted to know that sometimes when employees quit, it's not exactly your fault, right? It's not all the company's fault. Maybe I should add that, is that some things just happen, but you can also prevent some of these things from happening. The second point I want you to take home, and I really want you to take this home. If you have to jot it, please jot. If you have to write it in your notepad, please write it, is that employee engagement is beyond activities, right? It is how much of psychological attachment the talents have with your company. How are your talents able to brag about your company, associate with your company internally and externally? That is really the accurate measure of employee engagement. It's not how many parties you throw or how many happy hour on Friday or, office day every month or party on the beach. I don't know if, okay, I don't want to start teaching yet, but I don't know if you've been in an event that was organized before where people were just in silo. I mean, like it was a great event, but people were just talking to each other in silos, right? So that means that you can have all the activities and still have employees that are very disengaged. So it's important that you know that employee engagement is actually beyond activities, right? It is how attached, the talents are to your company. And then the last point is really that while conscious quitting can't be avoided totally, right? It can be prevented, it can be managed, through purposeful employee experiences. Okay, so let's dive straight into it. And this is where you guys come in. Yes, so a random question, and I probably want to see answers in the chat box, and I'm going to start. What's the most interesting reason you have quit a job before? Or anybody around you has quit a job? Just put it in the chat box. I want to see responses. So I'm going to start. I've quit a job before because the CEO, so there were 3 managers. So there was CEO, COO, and CFO. And I had the CEO screaming at someone, like, for me, where are you? That kind of thing. And in my head, I just felt like one day this guy is going to scream at me and say, Fitz, where are you? And I just quit the next day. I'm not joking, guys. I really quit a job because of that. And then I've managed a talent who quit a job because her boyfriend broke up with her. And it sounds very minor, but they've apparently dated for a long period of time. And she was actually looking forward to engagement. And then because of the breakup, her performance kept on dropping and she was put on probation. And, at the end of her probation, she was like, you know what, I quit. I don't want you guys to keep pampering me. I don't want to be a burden to you. So that's me. So please share your experiences. What's the most interesting reason why someone quit a job, you've been before? Let me see. Where can I see your chats? Okay. Yeah, career change. AMD cost employees. Wow. Okay, that's intriguing. His spirit rejected the organization. Okay, I mean, everybody quits because of improved pay and package. So I'm looking for things really unique. Like, oh, okay. Angela's story is very interesting. Low budget for maintenance. Oh, you can't see my slide. Please, can you see my slide? Omo. Please let me share again. I need to confirm that you guys can see my slide. I'm going to try to share my slide again. Please confirm that you can see. Demotivation and oh, you can't see my slide. Wow, thank you for mentioning. I've been talking to myself. Please, I'm going to share my slide again so that you can see it. Please, can you see my slide now? Yes. Oh, awesome. That's good. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for mentioning. I've been talking to myself. Okay, so I've quit a job because I'm really glad that we are sharing all these things. The company was run by like a couple. Okay, excited. So the reason why I asked that is really that I want to be sure that we've all experienced the things I've experienced. I think that with this, oh wow, someone slapped the staff. Wow. Okay, I hope the person was sued. You are the HR. Wow, double wow. I'm sending you all my love, Sarah. All my love. That must have been a very difficult situation to be. Okay, so I mean, I've read really hilarious things today, and I'm so happy that you guys are sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. And the reason why I started with this question is really to let you know that someone do not just wake up to quit. Someone quits because something has happened. I saw one post on LinkedIn where the person said that people don't leave a company, people leave people, or people leave managers, or people leave team leads. And then if you talk to 10 people that moved roles, aside for like compensation, which is like a general logical reason to move, everybody wants to earn more, it's because someone did something, a boss did something, a team manager did something, the wife of a boss did something. So I am glad that, we've sort of experienced this in one way or the other. So I am just going to continue with my slide now. Okay, so I want to share some exciting, facts about employee experience and conscious quitting that I have seen. So there was a research carried out in Unilever. By the way, I hope nobody works in Unilever here. I know that they are going through a lot of restructuring right now. Unilever is a brand dear to my heart because Unilever introduced me to corporate world. Yeah, so there was a research carried out in 2021, immediately after COVID, and there was just an internal employee survey, and this was like the results. 75% of Unilever staff in 2021 stated that public-facing commitments to tackling environmental and social issues were key criteria for the job they applied for, right? So people do not just join a company anymore because you pay well, or because you have the best, maybe compensation package. They want to know what problem are you solving? You know, what community-centric problem are you solving? And okay, don't let me jump yet. The next point is that 45% of employees claim that they will consider quitting and resigning from a position if corporate values did not align with their own. Now, guys, this is not abstract. This is very true. When my former place of work, I have interviewed people who joined the organization majorly because they are really deliberate about financial education. So I work with a fintech, right? And the reason why they joined was because they want to educate people, maybe because someone in their family has been duped before, or one of them did MMM or Ponzi, you know, all of them, you know, invests, gets 60% in 6 months. I'm very sure that if you have not done it before, someone around you had done it. And so people were literally joining our organization back then because their personal values or the things that they were looking to learn aligned with the company's personal values. So people actually quit when your value begin to change. I remember that I had managed a one-on-one performance review with someone before. She was our product manager and she said, oh, you know, I'm getting discouraged in my work. And I said, why? And she said, the business keeps changing the product direction. We are gradually moving from solving the problem of the masses to catering for HNI alone. And that was like a very unique and specific feedback that a talent was actually considering quitting a job because her job is no more serving, you know, the values of why she joined the company. So these are not actually just facts, they are realities. Another interesting fact is that 82% of workers, you know, want to be able to link their value and purpose with the organization they work for. Now, I'm very sure that all of us here can connect with this. We don't even do 9 to 5 anymore, right? I think we do 8 to 8 or 9 to 9, as the case may be. You know, we come in the morning, you know, immediately, especially if you work remotely or you work hybrid like me, you wake up in the morning, open your Mac or your HP, as the case may be, and you're in front. Some of us don't even remember to eat till 4 p.m. Please tell me I'm not alone. If you are here and you don't remember to eat till 4 p.m., please say I, so that, you know, we'll do therapy afterwards, right? So if we are spending that much hours, you know, doing work, we want to do work whose value align with us, you know, whose purpose align with us. We want to be sure that we are doing what matters to us, even though we are getting paid for what we are doing. So 80% of UK workers want to be able to link their value to their purpose. You know, I turned down a very, very lucrative offer recently from a company because I just did not understand their business model. Like, they were offering me, like when I told one of my career mentors is still mad at me till today that I turned down the offer. I'm like, yo, I don't understand how they make money. They want to pay me a lot of money, but I don't know how they make money. So I am not going to accept the offer, right? So, and then the last one, you know, before we continue, is that this one is a Nigeria and Lagos specific problem. Sorry if you're not in Nigeria, but yeah, Nigeria specifically. According to UNDP, so we all know, you know, United Nations Development something, 40% of productive hours is lost to the lack of basic amenities. Now, what does this mean? It means that because your transformer blew, you know, because your landlord decided not to pump water, because your transformer spoiled around the time that your generator spoiled, you know, because you spend 5 hours from Iyanapaja to Lekki, my people that cross mainland to island every day, you know, because of all those things, you lose productive hours. And then it doesn't just stop like that, it's a causal effect. And because of those productive hours that is lost, you know, this now contributes to 25% of attrition rate. It's actually in sub-Saharan Africa. So this data was an economic development data for sub-Saharan Africa. Now, just to bring this thing home, so because my former role was lead people and culture, my current role is head of talent. So I am always having conversations, either structured or not. So a very interesting scenario, guys. There was this designer, like he was one of our best designers, and out of the blues, his performance started dropping. Someone that, you know, he can churn out like 3-4 designs comfortably in a day. If he's going to delay, we'll give a notice that, oh, hi, you know, this design that you asked for, that I said will be ready by 2 p.m. will not be ready till 6 p.m. And it will give reasons. And again, this is how quiet quitting also happens. So this guy suddenly started dropping balls. You know, he would not design, he would not communicate. And his team lead was worried. Again, he was an high performer, right? And his team lead was very worried. And, you know how CEOs are. Sorry if I CEO here, I'm not subbing you. The CEO had come to say, oh, what's wrong? I'm going to put you on probation XYZ. And I just sent a message to the team lead to say, hey, hi, you know, I noticed this about this person. What do you think is going on? And he said, oh, I've spoken with him. I don't know what's going on. So I just called this guy. I just woke up one day and called him. I said, hey, you know, hi, what's up? How are you today? XYZ. He was sounding very exhausted. I called him around 11 a.m. So I'm like, oh, why are you exhausted? He said, I just finished fetching water. Okay. Why are you fetching water? You stay in he stays at Ogudu, by the way. So you stay in like an okay environment. He said that, their water system had been broken for like months. The landlady is not doing anything about it. The environment is not doing anything about it. So he stays in that area where, they have to pump your neighbor's water before they pump your own. XYZ. So neighbors, yeah. So the neighbor, I think they had electricity issue. They owed NEPA. So NEPA had cut their wire. So majorly, the neighbor did not have water, so they could not have water. And then the other alternatives, the landlady was not ready to go that route because it was expensive. And like, guys, it is water. And it is surprising that lack of water affected this guy's productivity at work. And then, I mean, maybe he would have gone on probation, or maybe we have quit, or we have sacked him for poor performance. And the poor performance did not happen because he was performing poorly. It happened because of what was, what he was going through personally. So I feel like I'm teaching already. Anyway, whatever lesson you decide to pick from there, please pick it. So let's get into the meat. I feel like everything I've done is appetizer. Okay. So, just definitions, as I know that HR people like, the academic part. So what is conscious quitting, right? Is the deliberate approach to leave a job because your values don't align with the employers. It could involve things around company sustainability, diversity and inclusion, change in vision and mission, etc. In one of the interviews that I facilitated, I have, conducted before, there was someone that asked me that, oh, so I'm curious, how does Carrywise make money? And I'm like, why are you asking me this? But it was a really interesting question to ask, right? So people leave because they foresee that. I had a couple of acquaintances that quit, some companies last year, Q4, just because of what was happening if you work in the crypto space, I'm not sorry, please. Just because of what was happening in the blockchain space, they were just scared. They were having psychological uncertainty. So they decided to quit before, they wake up one day and they can't log into their laptop again. So interestingly, I was going to add the definition of quiet quitting to this slide. But I didn't want to mix it up. Like I literally added it and then I removed it.
Okay.
So I'm just going to talk to quiet quitting,
Yeah.
right? So quiet quitting is when people do just what they need to do. And this is what it means, because in your mind, you're like, am I not getting paid for what I am supposed to do? So it starts from a talent pushing back, to say, hey, that's not part of my job description. This is someone that normally the person will probably raise his hand to even take up more responsibility or volunteer skills to say, oh, I can do this. It might not even be task. For example, say someone, when you post, for example, let me use a media company. Maybe you want to connect with someone and the person say, oh, my cousin works in that company. Oh, my friend knows that person. That same staff, maybe a couple months later, something happened. Maybe it was jumped. It was overlooked for promotion, or he worked with a toxic manager or something. You just see that talent just become more reticent. The person talks less in public channels, in private channels. These are like general indications. Someone that normally when you post guys, practical things. I have discovered an employee that almost quit because of this. If you use Slack, how you post message on general channels and people will react with different things. So there's this employee, she always reacts to everything. And then I noticed that for like 2 weeks, I've not seen her react. I had not seen her react in a public channel. I had not seen her respond. So we have funny channels. We have random sports, random music, random something. All the fun channels are named random. So we have random pictures, random musical artists. So like, I'd not seen her. I just noticed that, what is going on with this person? I've not seen her say anything. And so I went to her DM that, oh, this is that. I was like, they won't poach me. Oh, I won't leave Carrywise. I like, I was like, I was shocked because she was one of my best talents. She was versatile. She worked with a good team. I know those people that they can do like 7 things together and do them excellently well. And just by me noticing that someone was not responding very well in public channel anymore just saved me, of losing the talent, right? Or saved the company, as the case may be. So that is really quiet quitting. Less engagement, less attachment to your job, less commitment. Again, it's funny because sometimes it is minor and it's not noticeable, but most times quiet quitting is really what leads to conscious quitting. I hope that I was able to explain that without what is on my slide. Okay. Yeah, so moving to, because I'm also looking at time. So moving to employee engagement, like I said before, it's really to what extent do employees feel passionate about their jobs? To what extent are they committed to the organization? And to what extent do they put this discretionary effort in their work? Now, this part, I feel like this part is the most important because we all know, thank God we are all, employees. Either you're a team lead or you're an HR, you're a finance manager on this call. We all know the effort that we put in that nobody sees, but we know that. I mean, like sometimes I tell, when my former role, I tell myself, like, do you know how many things I do that they don't even align with my KPI? That, like, I don't know how to put them in my KPI, but I know I do them, right? So sometimes it's all those efforts, all those extra efforts, all those, oh, I know this person that can help us get this. Oh, all those just working extra hour to ensure that a report is sent in, or, working till 9 p.m. to ensure that an event is successful the next day. It's all those extra things, are what really contributes or what adds up to what we call, employee engagement. So getting to the crux, how can we keep? Oh yeah, before we do that, I was going to ask this very interesting question. So there are like two employees here. What's the difference between both employees? You can use any words, like you can use adjectives to describe the two employees. I feel like half of the time, these are like the two kind of employees we have in an organization, or we have part-time. So again, let me start. One is frustrated, and one is obviously delighted. Frustrated and delighted. So let me see more words that I can get from the chat box. Okay, I like cheerful. I like overwhelmed. Yes, I really like the word overwhelmed. Let's see if I can get more exciting words. Stressed, overwhelmed, frustrated. Yeah, I think frustrated. Yeah, excited. I like excited. Does it look excited? Well, yeah, it looks like it does. Burnt out. I really like burnt out. I mean, very smart in I will just flip that notebook in front of him, in front of her, and flip it out of the window. Okay. Energetic. I really like energetic. I like energetic. Involved. Yes, I like involved. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of exciting adjectives that I like. Burnout, feel drained, happy. Right. I love this audience. You guys are amazing. This virtual clap for you people. Exciting, you're comfortable. Yes, these are really good adjectives to use. Okay, so let's continue. Thank you guys for responding. Yes, disengaged and engaged. You sound like an employee experience manager. Which are you? Do you manage employee experience? Because those are very specific talent-centric words. Okay, so I'll try to narrow this down so that it will be very coherent and compact. So just 4 E's of employee engagement. Just remember these 4 E's as you go. First is enablement, right? How enabled are the talents to do the job they want to do? I once joined the company, guys. And when you join the company, and you know that you're going to leave this company like 1 month or 2. And what happened was very simple. It was a company that had a use your gadget policy. And they didn't tell me till my day of resumption that he was use your gadgets. And so I obviously did not have a laptop. Like when I didn't have a laptop, of course I had a laptop. I used my former company's Mac for like 2.5 years. I dropped it with them. And my goal was I was going to get a Mac in my next company. So I had this very old 2017 HP. Have you ever used all those HP that if you open 5 tabs like this, it will hang? That's the kind of HP I had. And so so it was my first day at work. So I'm nocturnal, by the way. It means that like I'm very active at night. That means I wake up late sometimes. So I sent a message to the hiring manager to say, hey, hi, it's my resumption day. And you people have not reached out to me about anything. So me, I used to wake up late too. Hope I don't have onboarding by 8 a.m. So I sent that message around 4 a.m. when I was going to sleep. And so I woke up around 9 a.m. and saw that, 1, I don't have a gadget. 2, they had postponed my onboarding. Like for me, that was very poor communication. And that was disenablement, because how am I supposed to work? How am I supposed to do, right? So things as small as laptop, things as small as if it's a remote work, things as small as data allowance. I remember that my former place of work, I worked at Caribou, so I can always use that. The first time we introduced data allowance, right? There was, the guys that were team leads and the management, they were any big enough. They were even any big enough to buy everybody the company data. So it didn't mean a lot to them, but they were like, oh, why are we giving people data allowance? And it's almost like, do you know what? If you don't want the data allowance, please give us. We need it, right? it was 10K per month. It was not a lot of money. But the fact that these guys do MTN subscription of, I don't know how many gig can you get with 10K, please? I don't know. I don't use these guys. But the fact that every month the company sends them 10K to buy data, it was a lot for them. Like for them, like it was like the biggest thing ever. That every month, they get 10K to do data. I need to know, please, how much gig can you get from that? I think that I know I do. So I do 120. I think I do 200 gig. I don't know how much I pay. Yeah. So I'm just trying to drive up the point that little things like laptop, like MiFi, like data allowance. I know that during COVID, I'm not saying you should do this in your company if you don't have the budgets, but I know that during COVID, I know a company that actually bought second screens, bought monitors for their team leads, because these guys were now switching from a fully physical office, to a fully remote office. Now it looks extreme, but trust me, that having two screens takes your productivity to like level 200, especially if you're like a team lead and you have multiple conversations and meetings, right? So again, it can be things like 10K data. It can also be things like an extra monitor, whatever it is for you, but ensure that you're enabling, your talents to deliver your best job. The second is energy. I think everybody we use vibe sometimes. I don't know if that's something we can relate to. You're like, oh, I don't like the vibe of that place, oh, I don't like their vibe. Oh, I don't vibe with them. So what's the energy in your company? What's the energy that your culture gives up? Is it open door policy, or do you have to stand in front of your gas door and knock like 3 times? I don't know if you worked with this kind of company before. You actually have to knock like 3 times and your gas says come in before you come in, right? Is there freedom of speech? Can people talk publicly? Can people talk freely? My current place of work have something I call an extremely open culture of candor. So 75% of the communication is actually done in public channel. So like on the general channel, you see someone say, hi, Adora, this report that I asked for yesterday has not been sent. Or you see someone come and say, that tweet trend that we did, was exciting or was boring. Please, can we make the next one more exciting, right? So is it a culture that is that open? And there are places where I've worked with a company where I was a team lead and I can't talk to another team lead. I have to talk to the head of people first. And the head of people will now go and tell maybe head of engineering or head of design that I need something. I mean, like, of course, I left the company after 8 weeks. Sorry, I have a lot of experience in my very short. I'm very adventurous in my career. So I think I have enough experience to last a lifetime. Anyway, you get the point I'm trying to say. How open, how freely can people talk? Can people drop off ideas? Can people drop off ideas? Can people talk about random things outside work, music, sports, books? Because again, all these things up. Remember when I said that work is no more 9 to 5, it's 9 to 9 or 8 to 8. That means we spend like 60 hours, of the 24 times 5, of the 120 hours available in 5 days at work. We spend like 60 to 80 at work. So it doesn't even make any sense. It doesn't give us fulfillment if we can't be our real self at work. And that's one of the reasons why people quit. The next thing is empowerment. I don't even have to talk about this. All of us know it. Learning and development is very crucial. People want to say how they are learning, how they are growing. I helped one of my friends get a raise at work recently. And, it was just like, I've taken this course, I've taken this project, I have done this, I've executed this campaign, and they're not giving me a raise. Emmanuel, please come ahead my life. What do I need to do? So I helped him with the comms, I helped him with the mails. When the manager responded, I told him what he should say. When the HR reached out, I told him what he should say. An employee should not be doing that. The leader should be able to say, oh, this guy has done XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. He deserves to move to this level. Right now, I'm helping another colleague, move from like a junior engineer to a mid-level engineer. He has been a junior engineer for 2 years, and he has worked on a lot of products, executed a lot of products, and the company, even though they are increasing his salary, by mid percentage, they are not changing his status, right? So talent should not be the ones doing that. It should be team leads. It should be HR leaders asking, how are these people growing? How are these people contributing? When, how are they learning? How is it for them to take initiatives that would even help them, develop better? One of the most exciting things that happened, at my former place of work was that, I like to share this a lot. One of our best products was built by a creative designer. Like, this guy was not even a product manager or anything. He just had an idea. He's a lover boy. We call him a lover boy. So he had an idea of building a product that help couples save, and he did the design. And he just like told the story with design, and he shared it with the product manager. and product manager wrote a PLD. PLD is like a product something document, yeah. And then, you know, they shared it with the CTO and moved on, and boom, we had a product. Like, I still think that product is one of our best products, you know, this is one of Kaiwa's best products till today. Another one, no, there's a product that was launched last year. They're like, as an HR, I led the marketing of the product because it was a football-centric product. And in the whole of, you know, the company, I was the one that knew about football the most. If you follow me on Twitter, I think that's 7 out of 10 tweets about football, right? So I'm just saying that how empowered, beyond learning and development, you know, how empowered are people to share their ideas? Hey, all my time has gone. Let me begin to round up. And then lastly is really encouragement. So how do you encourage your talent? Is there spontaneous reward? Do you have employee of the month? You know, do you do public recognition? Do you give shout outs? The exciting thing is that these things do not have to be monetary. There are different apps now. There are communication tools, there are collaborative tools, there are tools. I know at least 3 tools on Slack that I can use to do shout outs randomly. Oh, shout out to Adora for executing an amazing weekly report. Shout out to Ebube for managing the communications for today's weekly session. Just spontaneous things that make people happy. Can you give people, you know, a shopping voucher of 5K? You know, can you send someone to movies? You know, work anniversaries. How do you celebrate work anniversaries? Well, I would gladly say it's one of the companies I look up to as an HR professional in Nigeria is Paystack. I feel like if they say, oh, which HR team do you want to have lunch with in Nigeria after Stellenberg is Paystack. I just think that Paystack have hacked all these things. You know, you see people quote 3rd year anniversary. The next year they're coming to quote 4th year anniversary, 5th year anniversary. I just think that they are doing amazing work, and it's because they have put like sustainable structure that encourages, you know, employee engagement. So how our work anniversary celebrated, you know, sometimes just doing a DP and just sharing it on general. Oh, you know, today is Stella's anniversary. Stella clocked 3 years anniversary, you know, 3 years at our place of work today. Just minor things like that, birthdays. Hey, I feel like it's extremely grave if a company should meet. That's like one of the most unpardonable offense that a company should miss a talent's birthday. It should never happen, right? Marriage anniversaries. I once worked with a company where, you know, we planned a marriage anniversary for someone. So we collaborated with our husband, you know, to plan like a date in one luxurious hotel. So she was a sales manager, and you know, sales manager, they don't close till 11 p.m. Numbers must add up, you know, the targets must be reached and everything. So we had connived with the husband, you know, to plan an amazing day. And she keeps saying that was like one of our best experiences, not just at that place of work, but in her life ever. The fact that the work environment was so thoughtful to remember our anniversary and, you know, plan that. Of course, there are things around privacy and intrusion and all those things that you have to figure out. I'm not saying that will work at your place of work, or you can plan, you know, marriage anniversary with someone that is very private. I'm just saying that these extra things, these, you know, celebrating work anniversaries, celebrating birthdays, employee of the month, just creating, very importantly, personalized experience for people, you know, matter to them. Again, remember, it's just 4 bullet points. How are you enabling your employees, you know, to do the work they're happy to do? What energy is your culture giving? Do people feel toxicity? How empowered are your employees, you know, to take initiatives? And what does your company do to encourage people? I feel like I'm very sure that my time is almost up. So just rounding up, remember where we started from. What's doing? Sorry. Employee engagement is really beyond activities, right? It is how excited and productive talents are at your organization. And remember again, my very first slide, you cannot stop people from quitting. There are people that have quit places that I worked, and me, if I bless them, I'm like, please be going. God bless you as you go. There was one of our very amazing engineer, you know, that got a job with Amazon. Please be going. God bless you. We are happy that, you know, you left Skywise to Amazon. It's a good thing on our profile. You know, just one of our very amazing, exceptional data analysts that got a job with Bloomberg, you know. But like, so there are things that you cannot prevent, but there are also a lot of things that you can prevent. And that is why I shared, you know, that previous slide. Enable your talents, empower your talents, give them an exciting environment to thrive, and really encourage them. Conclusively, and is a random question, how will you drive engagement at your organization today? Thank you for listening. Please ask me questions. Actually, my says ask me questions.
Thank you so much. I was trying not to laugh too much when you were doing your presentation. I knew it was going to be funny anyway. Thank you so much, Emmanuel, Faith. And I'm sure that we have questions. I was encouraging people to use the Q&A for the questions, right? So please, if you have any questions, can you put it in the Q&A? Yeah, just type it into the Q&A, and then I will read it out to Emmanuel. And yeah, because I won't be looking at the chat, so please. So someone is asking, anonymous, how do you deal with the concerns on religious grounds for those who do not do all these celebrations? Oh, that's a very interesting one. Yeah. Emmanuel, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Thanks for asking. So I don't know, I skipped that, maybe because of the short time. One of a very important parts of employee experience, employee engagement is onboarding. Please, if you're an HR manager here, please take onboarding serious. There is a lot of information that you can get with the right onboarding process. For example, I love Jehovah's Witnesses. I have them as friends. I've managed a Jehovah's Witness before who does not celebrate birthday. In fact, it's funny because then we were using seamless HR. And if you're here and you use seamless HR, all these things are automated. So what I do when a birthday is coming, again, remember when I talked about personalized experience? So what I do is actually to call seamless HR that please disable this person's birthday anniversary. And they do that manually because like it's a system, it said, but how deliberate am I to keep this talent in my company? What extra effort am I willing to take? It's just me, doing that. So respect people's religious ground, respect people's moral ground. Don't generalize things. Those things are very important. So, and you will, again, like I said, onboarding, you will get all this information during onboarding. And we are in a very expressive generation. Let me just put it there. People push back. People say, why are you asking me? I remember that I did one onboarding and someone's like, oh, what is your NDPL? That's like, data regulations and all that. I'm like, oh, thank God we have this. We just registered this. This is what we're using your data to do. This is, you can let us know what you want. Someone had told me before, we also were doing a storytelling, an employer branding storytelling. And the person said, oh, no, I don't want my picture on social media. Can you just put my name? I was like, thank you. Would put your name, right? Are you okay with us announcing that you plugged one? Yes. She said, yes, but just my name. So you have to be very personal about things like that. Yeah.
That's very interesting, Emmanuel. That's really interesting. So just before we go ahead, I just want to summarize because I know a lot of people were joining in and they may not have caught your initial discussion. So today we're talking about conscious quitting and how it relates to the employee experience. Emmanuel aptly helped us describe conscious quitting and distinguished it from quiet quitting. So while quiet quitting is about doing the bare minimum, right? So just doing your JD, your job description. Conscious quitting is more about resignations that happen as a result of dissimilarities in values between the individual and the organization. So it's conscious. It's termed conscious quitting. Yeah, as opposed to quiet. Why is this important? Why did we even quiet quitting? Why was it an issue? I mean, there was a whole argument about it being maybe another buzzword for disengagement, because really the characteristics were similar to a disengaged employee, because engagement is all about going the extra mile, right? And quiet quitting is about doing just keep it to your job description. So it's quite interesting that doing your job description is seen as
quiet.
Like
so really,
you're your way out.
We can't get by doing our job description. We all know.
Yes.
We are always doing more than we are paid to do.
Exactly. And I think that's one reality that we just have to, the person who is passionate always obviously is recognized because they are doing more than their job description. And there was something that you pointed out that was really interesting. You said that usually quiet quitting is like the predecessor to conscious quitting, and people can see the symptoms are there for people to actually see. Maybe when somebody withdraws or they're acting differently, that might be a very good, it might be something we need to note, because it might be telling us what is yet to come. So let's go back to the questions. And I like that one on the celebrations, that people are different, especially different religions. So we have a question from Bashir, and he says, does getting involved with employees' private lives improve Employee engagement. Wow, this one.
That's
Like,
that's
what
a good
are you,
question.
what are your
Yes,
thoughts?
yes. So
Ah,
it's very important, and I also see a question around large
yeah,
organizations. One is very important that HR know people, or
yeah,
team leads know people and are able to, what's the word, cascade to
yeah,
HR. So I just
yeah.
give an illustration for my illustration that I gave. The person that we planned the surprise wedding anniversary for,
Yes.
the person is a my husband thing. Oh,
Okay.
I'm done by 8 p.m. My husband is back. Oh, my husband has traveled. That's why I'm working till 9 p.m. today. Oh, my husband is not at home. Don't worry, I can work till 10 p.m. Oh,
Yeah,
my husband. So it was very easy for us to be
yeah,
thoughtful enough
yeah,
to
yeah.
celebrate anniversary with that husband.
I
Because
like that.
naturally she talked
Yeah.
a lot about her husband. So the question is, what level of intrusion, first, how does the person talk about family, that, so I'll give another illustration. There was a time that we wanted to, so we inaugurated an award, like an award policy. So when you clock a certain year, we give you an award. When you clock a certain year, we give you an award. So there were people that were entitled to iPhones, like the latest iPhone, because that's, I think it was 30th year anniversary. So we had bought two people iPhone 14. Yes, we bought two people iPhone 13 plus. They bought two people iPhone 14. And then the next person that was clocking 3 years, she was a mother nurturing baby. I was like, if you buy me iPhone 14, you just wasted your money. And so we bought her a new refrigerator and a new generator because that was what she needed, right? So it's really how well do you know your employees and how personalized can you be without being intrusive? Yeah, so that's the question.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So let's look at another question. And I think, another thing, maybe I'll just add to that. I would say it helps, definitely. I mean, there's no way you have a relationship with someone without knowing things that are personal to them. The minute you stay off limits, I mean, you have to know the kind of person because not everybody wants that type of relationship. But the more, like, for a relationship to occur, there has to be a
Some sort
personal,
of interaction.
yeah. Of course, some people, it can get really, really, but I think that, when we talk about people being, even the example you used about bosses, people don't leave companies, they leave. It's all about the relationship with the boss as well. And how do you have a relationship with a boss? There has to be personal, the person has to be involved personally somehow. Otherwise, there's no relationship. Once it's strictly work, then it's very transactional, right? And there's no vested emotion.
Just, yeah.
So I think you can't really get away with with relationship and not getting personal. So we have another question. Someone says they've been tasked to organize a team bonding for the company. Okay, and this person is asking for team building. Maybe you wanna, I don't know. I'm not sure it's a question.
But you could send me a DM afterwards because
Yeah,
I now
exactly.
ask, what's
Yeah,
your company, what's the
yeah.
size,
So
maybe
it can
what's
give you ideas on
you
team
can connect
bonding.
with me on LinkedIn or Twitter.
Yeah, you're anonymous, so we couldn't really. So please, if you can put more information on and then connect with either, I mean, Emmanuel, I can give you ideas as well. That's
Yeah,
fine.
actually, we'll be trying to.
Good. So, how do you keep, so Idara says, how do you keep remote organizations engaged? Can you highlight some strategies or steps to take? Now, this is a really, Emmanuel, I know you touched on this a bit by talking about some of the platforms that you have. It was quite interesting. I was listening to you and you're talking about your Slack channels and having like some channels for random pictures. Can you tell us more? Because I'm sure you've worked in that type of environment. Tell us more about some of the things you do, some strategies too, because engagement and remotes, like
they are almost one and opposite.
if you have to do work with people in the office, then when they're not even in the office, like someone was asking me culture and remote. So I was like, culture and remote? like how do you ensure? I mean, we talk about culture being such an issue when people are in the office. How do you do it when people are not?
When
So
you are not in the office,
yeah,
right?
please tell us, give us
Okay.
some, tell us some of the things that you've done, strategies.
Okay, nice. So the first thing is that people for remote companies, people are excited when they do something together. And I'm just going to tell you fun things that I've done before. First, as a company, we've read a book together before. So there was a time, at Carrywise, all of us read Atomic Habits by James Clear because we are trying to become more productive. And all of us, and when I mean all of us, I mean all of us read Psychology of Money. So if you worked in Carrywise in 2021, you would have read, Atomic Habits. In fact, it was part of onboarding package. So if you are joining the company, you get the new book. And for 2022, all of us read Psychology of Money, every 56 members of staff. So what we do every Friday is that, we come and someone talks about the chapter that stood out, the illustration that stood out, and things like that. Two things, people were learning, but people were also talking. So I know that even if I've not spoken with Idara from Monday to Friday, on Friday, by all hands, I will hear Idara's voice because Idara will come and talk about the book, Sure. We had things like movie evenings. So there's a tech platform where you can like watch movie together, on a shared platform, either Netflix or what's the other one? Not Prime, Showmax, right? So everybody's watching the same movie and stuff. Sometimes so we also do domiciled stuff, right? So domiciled means that you are remote, but is there a workstation near you? So people in a certain location just go and work from a workstation, right? Or people in a certain, just one of the most hilarious things was one day our engineers woke up and said they want to go and work from the beach. So they got this kaftan, when you go to the beach, there are places that are like demarcated and everything. So all of them paid for it and they actually worked full day from the beach. I think in the evening, the CX team joined them. And like the exciting thing about this was HR was not the one that drove it. It was just them saying, oh, we want to work. But they had the luxury also to do that because they know that there are no stringent policies, that would say, oh, why are you at the beach on a work day? That kind of thing. So while HR did not drive that, it was a way to keep themselves excited. So one is always do something together. It might be learning, it might be fun, it might be learning and fun. Two, people are extremely remote, but people are also domiciled in clusters. So I remember there was a time that, I had to do map. Hey, Ikeja go to branch. That means that if I want to reach out to these people in this branch, there's at the person. VI Lekki branch, Abuja, Port Harcourt, because we had people in Abuja, we had people in Port Harcourt, and we had like 4 employees in the UK, right? So it's funny that I say, oh, UK guys, when less are you having a hangout? Please send us pictures. And like, it's just something that minor, but they actually go ahead and have hangout and they send us pictures, right? So those are like minor things that could work.
And it's so interesting that you say that, Emmanuel, because I'm obviously thinking about it from the perspective of, this remote work is an area of my research. And I want to just maybe shed some light on it you mentioned all the fun stuff. I want to go to some of the deeper level, which you've mentioned as well, that we take for granted, but really matter. So, and this is coming from the research I've already done on employee engagement and remote work. Now, with remote work, let's start with what you talked about, data allowance, okay? You see, engagement is about being emotionally vested in your work, right? And disengagement, if somebody is one, like you talked about did you say about someone's transformer blowing or something? If somebody, or water, somebody fetching water, if someone cannot work, engagement cannot even begin. Exactly. Right. So those are some of the things, like if somebody isn't prepared, like you talked about not having a laptop, you don't have a good laptop. So we can't be speaking engagements when somebody is not enabled, remember, right? So let's even start there. If people are if people are remote, how are they enabled? You can't be engaged and talking about fun and doing work when your laptop is not decent, your power is not decent, your you don't have data to actually do the work. All those things, engagement cannot even begin. So from an African perspective, these might not be issues in countries like, outside, but in Africa, right?
We have specialized challenges.
We do have specialized challenges, and the financial implications. I've heard people say, okay, oh, but transport costs. Let me tell you, there's a psychological part of it. Emmanuel, you mentioned it as well. There's just that psychology of receiving that data allowance. I'm telling you, people just feel different, that, at least it's subsidized somehow. So I think it's something we need to bear in mind. The other one that you mentioned that is very key to engagement in remote work, which you mentioned with the example of the product manager that you said was quitting because they were no longer working on the kind of work that they wanted. Imagine they had a dream of working for the masses, like developing products, and all of a sudden, your company changes strategy to only want to focus on high HNI. Now, that is what we call meaningful work. If people are not doing work that they connect to, right? It's bad enough when we're in the office, but imagine when you're not even seeing them. Oh, gone, they're gone. So that you take it for granted. If somebody is not connected to their work, there's no engagement happening. It's worse when they're not. You can't even see them. So that is also very key. Now, everything else, Emmanuel, you were saying about communication. Social communication is such a big issue, not having people to talk to. The nature of remote work means that you're alone, right? That in itself has negative implications. So anything to foster communication, and you gave some brilliant examples on that. All the, the meetups, the different groups, the crews, all those are things that definitely help. So communication came out big. So anything you can do, whether all the Slack channels, I love how you had all the random groups, right? Those help, because some people, and I'm sure maybe that's where they find their news.
Exactly. New music, someone that just dropped an album. For example,
Yeah, they go to the random. So anything, because what I found with the communication, what I see is that, remember that because you're not physically there, right, it's easy to disconnect. So if there's something that is always bringing us back and saying that, okay, we are part of one team, we're part of one team, then, so whether it's physical meetups regularly, whether it's online channels, they all help, right? So there has to be communication. There's something that came out a lot in the research, having multiple communication channels, right? So you're using many ways to get in touch with staff. So you're not just you're using Slack, you're using WhatsApp, you're using meetups, you're using Zoom, you're using like all those things, but they are ways to show that, we're open and communication is still two-way between us. So one thing I've learned about remotes is that if you have to be intentional, like on site, with remotes, you have to double your intentionality, like that deliberate nature, right? You have to do it even more. You have to be more, because you can't see the person. And, everything to be more deliberate about your actions definitely helps. I just felt like I needed to just add to that. Sorry. You did something very, very brilliant, but I just felt like I wanted to just buttress, and so that people know that what you actually said is backed by research, at least Nigerian research. If anybody is thinking that just talk, it's not. There is real, if you do a survey in your firm now, you will see that these things are very important for engagement. Thanks, Idara, for that question. Let's see, Neka. Okay, Neka has a question. Okay. Yeah, Neka says she agrees with your examples, but she finds them easier in small, innovative organizations and people who are willing to make the effort to think and deliver exciting service. How can these ideas work in large companies or even public sector? And please, before you answer this question, I think our question is very, very relevant. And I'll just use an example because we're doing some public sector work. And there was something, you remember, one of the things you said at the very beginning was that we should take onboarding very seriously. We did an onboarding manual for a public sector organization. And part of the things we recommended was like, when people just come, like take them out for lunch day one. Honestly, we were reviewing it. They said, remove it. They said we should remove it. What lunch? Who is going to pay for the lunch? So it's funny that Neka is asking, this is real. Like, if you're doing this, and you're saying, onboarding is very key. Please, what should we add in the onboarding for very large organizations? So please, can you answer Neka's question? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Priska, I saw your question, I would answer. Sadly, or fortunately, I don't know if it's fortunate or unfortunately, I've not worked in a public sector before, but I can definitely speak to large companies because I have colleagues who work in Microsoft, Google, and Zoom. I want you to know that ideas are scalable, right? Oh, by the way, I am an head of talent of a company of like 120 staff, and we have, talents across UK, US, Botswana, South Africa, Rwanda, minus Nigeria, about 7-8 countries, right? By the end of this year, probably been like 12-15 countries. So at least I manage cross-regional, talents. And most of the things that I'm implementing are things that I've done when I was managing a company that I joined when we were 20, and when I was living, they were like 50 something. Right. So I definitely think that ideas are scalable. Now, just two things. One, Who are your champions? So as an HR manager or an HR professional, you cannot champion everything except you want to faint, right? So who are your winners? I'll give you a practical illustration. Say I want to drive a campaign now. I want to drive, say, International Women's Day campaign. So before I pitch it to the public, I probably have met the finance manager. Hey, I want to drive this campaign. This is the cost. Do you think we have the budget? Yes, we have the budget. No, we don't have the budget. Yes, we have the budget, but what is the value it's bringing to the company? So I win my finance manager. Next person, head of growth or marketing manager. Marketing manager, I have this idea for International Women's Day. This is what we are trying to do. This is what we will achieve. Okay, my team can work on it. Oh, my team is very busy right now. XYZ. Can your team give me 2 hours to work on this every day? Yes, they can. So I win my head of growth and marketing. And then, like, I just pick stakeholder, I talk to someone, maybe our CEO, that I know that the CEO or the management will definitely listen to. So before I pitch an idea to the general, I've won like a certain percentage, of, in fact, before I make announce, some people are already telling some team leads are already telling their members that, oh, talent is trying to do this. Oh, people and culture is trying to do this. So by the time we bring this idea to life, it's not just HR driving it, right? It is all stakeholders that have carried along and one personally. I think it's the John Maxwell principle. He calls it having meetings before the meeting. So have a meeting with your stakeholder. Who is a stakeholder of this project? Who is a stakeholder that will help me drive this project? Some people, sometimes you don't even need stakeholder, you just need a champion. Someone that will carry your idea on his head like this and just push it everywhere, So I think that that's very important. And then second thing is, how executable it is this idea really. There are amazing ideas that I have that, I never shared in my former place of work. There are amazing ideas I have right now that I know that if I pitch it, it's dead on arrival because I just know that the company does not have the money to do this kind of things right now. Do you get? So there's also that part where you're very realistic with yourself that this idea is great, is amazing, but can the company afford it? Do we have the structure to sustain it? Is it scalable? I feel like those are honest questions. But the very important thing, especially the first part, is who are your stakeholders? Even in a public sector, I'm sorry, if you're a public sector here, I'm not shading you, but there is a level of lethargy, of indifference that happens. Am I still audible, by the way? Because, okay, please say
No,
yes.
you are.
Okay, awesome. So in the public sector, there is that lethargy, that, indifference compared to private sector where we also for our money. But even within that public sector, there are 1 or 2 people that are good people. There are 1 or 2 people that are very energetic. There are 1 or 2 people that are flamboyant. There are 1 or 2 people that get excited about ideas. So find those 1 or 2 people and make them your champion. In fact, you are not even interested in taking the glory. If they want to take it, they can take it. As long as what you want to drive, as long as what you want to achieve, is achieved. So I hope that you find that answer very helpful.
Yeah, thank you. I think we've come to, the end though. We spent a lot of time, although I see some more questions. Let me just see if we can take one because
So let
it's supposed to
me
be an
read
hour.
through
Yeah, do you want to look
and
through
just pick
and
one
let's
or
pick
two.
one that
So I will answer to very briefly,
yeah.
Priska and Onyeye. So every other person, please, you can send me a Twitter. I'm not active on Twitter and LinkedIn, to be very honest. But yeah, you can send me a message. So I'm going to answer Priska in 1 word and Onyeye in 1 word. So Priska's question, just to read to everybody, is it advisable to keep quitting when you experience any challenge or discomfort in your organization? Because I heard someone say in the comment section that she quitted a job after 1 month. Okay. So this question is very subjective. When I just started out my career, I went through Shege. I saw Shege. By the way, my first salary was 25,000 naira. And I was going from Yanokwaja to VI. You can just imagine my life. Yes, so, and I did not quit, right? But by God's grace, I've gotten to a place in my career where I can dictate how much I want to earn, the additional benefits that I want. And if you don't give me, I'll leave your company, right? So it's really what stage of your career.
Like sleeping till noon, right?
Right. So what stage of your career are you and what are you looking to learn? I've worked with a toxic organization for about 6 months because I was in a role that was learning something and I really needed to perfect, that thing. I want to be said that I left, it was payroll management, by the way. I know that payroll is a big issue in Nigeria and it was an opportunity to learn payroll management. So I'm like, show me Shege every day. As long as I'm learning this payroll, I don't mind. And when I felt like, okay, I think that I can comfortably manage end-to-end payroll for a Nigerian company, I dropped my resignation. So are you in also, there is the bills and responsibility. Are you the breadwinner? Are they winning bread for you? Or do they share you bread? So those are factors that you have to consider. And ultimately, how does it look on your CV? Of course, if you work with the company for 1 month, that won't probably be on your CV or your LinkedIn or anything. So 3 factors, what stage of your career are you? What are you looking to learn? Do you have like a set target? I had a friend who worked in a toxic environment that was paying so high. The guy was saving like 50% of his salary every month, and he quit after 1 year. He had saved, I think, 5 million or 6 million. And so he was unemployed for like 2 or 3 months, but he didn't feel it because he had a lot of money. So those are things you have to consider. Then only okay, no, I don't. I want to say.
No, I think it was Onye's question I was looking at. So it's good
Okay.
that you're going there. So it's fine.
Yes, so conscious quitting is very value-based. Yes, if that is the case, my assumption is that it cannot be helped, but unless we are saying that company ultimately, which is the place for employees, where is the place for employees then to ensure that their values align with the organization prior to joining the organization? Very interesting question. And if you remember, I will share my slide with Adora. I don't know if there's a way you will get to the participants, but if you remember my very first slide, there was a line there that said that conscious quitting is unavoidable. It can only be managed. I think I had put that there honestly. So where's the place for employees to then to ensure their values align? So I don't know if you are Nigerians. Half of Nigerians are in survival mode, right? I recently left a company to pick a job at a company that was paying me lesser. I don't want to put words, but the new company was actually paying me $500, more than $500 lesser than the company I was with. And my friend was seriously mad at me. That like, how will you leave $500? It's not $500, it's about like $620 something. How will you leave that money on your table for passion? Who passion help? But I'm like, I'm not judging. Not a lot of people. I mean, $600 is somebody's salary, and that's the amount I'm leaving on the table because the company's value does not align with mine. Not everybody have that luxury. 3 years ago, I did not have the luxury. At the value, at the alignment, I will collect everything. Right? But now I've got to that place. And another thing you should consider, remember the product managers most illustrated. I mean, this was a company I was the HR manager. Like it was an open conversation. The career wise was moving in a very direction that was weird. And we had to call back the management. That yes, you want to get money, you want to focus on HNI, but we cannot forget products that were built solely for CSR that have impacted a lot of people. We had products that is just for contribution, it's just for collation. And those products, they might not give us money, but they give us impact. And you can't just ask us to pack up those products. Imagine that we didn't have the boldness to have that conversation with the management. We have lost key talents because when a leading products manager goes, maybe a favorite product designer follows her. Maybe a favorite engineer, software or backend follower. And then we lose like 5 or 6 core talents just because the business was moving in a direction that the members of staff didn't understand. In that kind of scenario, it's not the talent's fault. It's the business that moved, a unique direction. That was not even harmful in any way. It was just, they just wanted to make more money, neglecting a core part. So there are also those things that you can't prevent. So generally, only make provision, you can sense pulse, you can gauge your employee pulse, but ultimately, there's always the talent's final decision. Sorry, Adora, before I just add this last illustration for everybody. So there was someone that clocked third year anniversary also at Skywise, and we were asking her, how was the journey, everything. So she told us that there was a time that she wanted to quit. Why? She was coming from Arepo. I don't know if you know where Arepo is. Ikeja GRA. And they were repairing Ikeja Bridge. And so every day she has to either wake up at 5 a.m. so that she gets to work by 7 a.m. because immediately it's 8 a.m. everywhere is filled. And she doesn't get to work 11 a.m. So one day she was like, I'm not going to work again. So she didn't come to work. And so our teammates, the CX manager, like 5 people drove to her house. And she was surprised that I didn't come to work one day. And that was around like 3-4 months into her job, by the way. And you guys actually drove to my house in Arepo inside the trenches. It doesn't that when you enter, mud will reach half of your ankle. And like just that one act kept her at Skywise till I left. I mean, she's still there today. She'll probably clock 4 years in like the next couple of months. So if that talent had quit at that point, it wasn't company's fault, right? They were just things that the company could have handled. But I mean, thank God that the company was progressive enough and had an exciting culture, that helped. I don't know what you can get from that illustration, but
it was a very good one. It's very good because I mean, you were buttressing the values part. And I think just to add to Onyinye's brilliant contribution there about conscious quitting is, yes, I mean, you can't really help it. Even in conflict management, when we teach conflict management, the hardest type of conflict is values type. It's just like in relationships. I mean, there are different kinds of conflicts. There's some you can solve because it's easy to solve bad dialogue. But conflict like values are very difficult. So the truth is that when it comes to certain types of quitting, like conscious quitting, is really inevitable, because if me and you, if our values aren't aligned, can two work together unless they agree? I mean, it's a deep level of, you can't really vibe, so to speak. Let me use your term, right? You guys are not the same vibe, so there's no point. So when it comes to that, I think definitely people need to do their homework so that you don't enter and have to come out. Right?
Yeah, you can make those researches.
Yeah, because when you start finding out about someone's values when you've gone in, yeah, and the truth is that you can't really blame people. Sometimes you never realize something until you're in it, right? And when you're in it, then you now find out that these people, but one thing I always encourage people is to ask questions. I feel that sometimes, you know, people are not patient. I'm a firm believer in dialogue. I don't feel like there's nothing dialogue cannot resolve. And I always encourage young people, especially, to dialogue. It doesn't matter that someone doesn't look like they will listen. Sometimes I hear of people quitting because they feel like, you know, this person doesn't listen. I've seen how this person treated other people. It doesn't follow, you know, and I think that sometimes a lot of people join organizations and I think that they follow the vibe of some of the people who have already been there without, you know, giving the environment benefit. Yeah, I think this is something I would say to people who are early in the career. Everywhere has politics. When you go into an environment, try and find out yourself, the facts for yourself, because sometimes people go on other people's versions and they don't really find out the reality, and they just go, you see people, they come in and they go out. They never even had a conversation with anyone in management. They just assume because everybody else has told them that these people, this is how they are, you know, that type of thing, or this is what they do. They don't even like verify, let me say. So, you know, like that aspect, I think it will serve people to dialogue. And I believe that a big part of growing in our careers and maturity is about having those conversations from interview stage, asking those questions that, because you want to know before you put your head in, right? So ask the questions at interview, do your homework, you know, before you join. And also when you get there, try and do your homework as well and give people the benefit of the doubt. I think it's worth giving people the benefit of the doubt. So I think to wrap up, Emmanuel, I can't even thank you. I can't even thank you enough. It's been a very refreshing session. I want to believe that everybody learned a thing or two. It's not a session that you can really finish in one session. It's like, it has to be like to be continued. So I just want to encourage everyone and thank you. Stay tuned for next month. Emmanuel, you know, you'll be coming again and again. I don't know what next time we'll be talking about. But I just want to thank, there's so many people here. I think I saw over 150 people here at one point. And I just want to, Emmanuel, you said we could share your slides.
Yes, yeah. I would save it in PDF and share with Ebube so that.
Fantastic. So everyone, you know, like we'll be getting a copy of Emmanuel's slides. Thank you for all that hard work that you've done for us. And on behalf of everyone here, I just want to thank you very much.
Okay, then. Thank you, everybody.
And do you have any last words for anyone?
I mean, yes. So before I joined the meeting, I was in a serious meeting. Ebube, sorry, I know you were chasing me. And you know what? It was with the head of ops, you know, for where I work, and it was like, hey, you know, managing talents is hard work. It's like nothing, you know. It's like nothing, and so you have to do it from your heart. Sometimes you might not even get thank you. Right. So let's just always remember that.
All right. Thank you very much, Emmanuel, and take care, everyone, and see you next month. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.